Live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Litchfield Recreation Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 10th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. We'll start off by doing an attendance roll call. My name is Steve Gannon. I am the chair. Mr. Peter Ames, our secretary.
Here.
Mr. Andy Collins, full member. Today we have two new members coming in as alternates, I should say, alternate members. Mr. Jeff Town, Ms. Judy Brennan. Absent with prior notification is Vice Chair Andy Ruggles, member Mike Boski, Board of Selectmen Rep Steve Weber, and Mr. Christopher Burns. I expect possibly to show up later. So first I'm going to introduce our two alternate members, Mr. Jeff Town, Mrs. Judy Brennan, members of the Litchfield community. Judy, I know Judy personally. She's been active for many years. She's also participated in many activities, I think, associated with the recreation years ago. Mr. Jeff Town's been before us multiple times for working with the Scouts and the BSA. So welcome to the commission. Our bylaws state that members of the Town of Litchfield Recreation Commission shall have full voting authority at all meetings. Alternates will be elevated to voting status by the chair to fill in for missing or vacant members on a meeting-by-meeting basis. Alternates will have full participatory rights in all meetings and will share equal status in all matters involving the Town of Litchfield Recreation Commission unless specifically stated otherwise in the rules and procedures to the commission. So we encourage you to make motions and discuss. However, unless appointed as a full member for that meeting, you will not be able to vote. Once again, thank you for taking time out of your lives to make Litchfield a better place. For tonight's meeting, we are missing members, so I will be appointing both of you as full members. So that'll give us a quorum of at least 5. First thing is consideration of previous meeting minutes. We have 2 to consider. I think we're just going to skip this for tonight because there was only 3 of us for the June 8th meeting, and then July 13th, there was 4 members, but 2 are not here today. So we'll skip meeting minutes and we'll address that at the next meeting. Public input. Reminder to the public, we are no longer virtual. You must physically attend our meetings to participate in public input. There is nobody in the audience, so we will close public input. Facilities and field requests. We have one for the Litchfield Police Department, Litchfield Fire Department, 5K road race. Officer Bob Botta and Mr. Jake Dodge, Saturday, September 25th, 2021, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. They are looking to use Roy Memorial Park for a touch-a-truck and requesting access to Town Hall for their restrooms. And they said they will take care of cleaning after the event. Any discussions on that event?
Just say that this is the second year I think they're doing this, right? And
Yep.
Last year was very well received by the town, so I think it would be a good thing to support again.
Any other?
I would just say my only thought would be we may need to make adjustments to what they can do if the town changes any of its policy. With COVID, nothing's set in stone. But I would think these guys know what they're doing. They're not going to take any chances. They'll be very safe. So.
It's between now and September 25th. A lot of things can change.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussions? All right.
Sounds good.
I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for the Fire and Police 5K on Saturday, September 25th, and use of Town Hall and during the hours they specified.
I'll second.
Second by Andy. All right. Any other discussions? We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Ames?
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Mrs. Brennan?
Aye.
Mr. Town?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. I will speak to Mr. Botta and Jake, let them know that if things change, we'll have to possibly readjust at a later date. but we'll keep it as fluid as possible. We did have another request from Healthy Kids Running Series. This has been ongoing for a while. Sarah Hilton looking to use Sawmill September 12th through October 17th, 3 to 6 p.m. every Sunday. Last time we discussed this, Mike Bosky said that that's prime soccer season and it won't be possible to use Sawmill at that time. She's asked if she could use Roy Memorial Park. I believe softball will probably be picking up at that time. Is that true? When does softball usually kick off?
I mean, softball, they do have a fall league, but it's not like the springtime. I mean, how much field space do they need?
It sounds like, I don't know how much field space. It sounds like more for parking, and then it's going to be little kids running. So probably as big of a field as they can get to keep them contained.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see softball being, big at that time. I know the field is used a lot for soccer, but it's during the week by LMS. So Sunday afternoons, I don't think would be all that. Because we might want to just talk with LGSL, see what their plans are, and just make sure that we plan accordingly.
I saw something they put out, I think, just looking for interest, if there was interest to have a fall league. That might have been about
And
a
it's
week or two
don't they usually
ago.
go Sunday mornings too?
So-
It's not usually in the afternoons on
I
Sundays.
just know it's not as anywhere near as big as spring.
Yeah, this is Sundays, 3 to 6 p.m. All right, I'll reach out to LGSL, and if they do not have anything scheduled for that time, I will let Miss Holton know that she could use Roy Memorial Park. She has already submitted all her paperwork. She submitted the insurance information. She already has her background checks done, and it's through Healthy Kids. And the participation of Litchfield kids are pretty large. I am assuming there's going to be other kids from other towns, but the majority is for Litchfield.
Now, and they registered with the state.
Yep. She's done
Awesome.
all that through Healthy Kids Running Series.
Oh, okay.
She submitted it already. Okay. Any other discussion? I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the Healthy Kids Running Series regarding the dates specified in the request, pending communication with Litchfield.
LGSL.
So, yep.
Second.
I'll second.
There you go.
All right. We'll do. Take a vote. Mr. Peter Ames,
Aye.
Mr. Andy Collins,
All right.
Miss Judy Brennan,
Aye.
Mr. Jeff Town.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. I'll reach out to Sarah and have to speak with LGSL. That's all I had for facility and field request. Anybody else see anything else come in?
What about I know it wasn't a facility and field request, but pickleball, weren't they looking for the use of town hall?
Yeah, they were, but by the time they got the information in, it was for during the rain in July.
Oh, okay.
So that is something I did reach out. I reached, out to, I don't remember, Bob, I think his name was. And I'll talk to him again about seeing what their intentions are for to get back into talent. Yeah, they were doing it in Hudson in the rain. They're having a lot of rainouts and they wanted to get into talent, but it was between our meetings. And because we don't have many meetings in July, we just weren't able to accommodate them. So any other ones?
I didn't see anything else. No.
No, I don't think so either. All right. New business. It's budget season. Watch Andy smile because he doesn't have to deal with it. It's going to be a crazy year because last year everything was frozen. The budgets were frozen and we didn't know what we were able to do and what was going to be going on. So pretty much whatever we had in place last year is still set in place this year. Last year we were able to encumber like the fence, the gate movement, the stairs, a couple other things. So I'm gonna get the budget from Ms. Karen White to figure out where we stand as of now, and I'll send it out. And I think he wants to have meetings probably soon after our next meeting. I think he has me on the 19th or something. That would be before. But keep in mind that it's budget season, and if there's anything in particular you think we should budget for our next coming year, reach out to me so that we can make sure it's on the budget if we can.
So should we, because our contract for the fields is just for this year, correct? It wasn't a 2-year?
Yes, I believe it was year to year, or the first year we did it.
I thought it was a 2-year.
Was it
Because
2?
last year was 1 year.
I thought
and
this was
then-
1 year as well. I mean, the only reason I ask is if it's not, we need to make sure we get that RFP out there so that we know what we're dealing with for a budget number.
Right.
'Cause that's really that's our hardest, that's our highest line.
Yeah, I know the first year was 1 year, but I thought, was it 1 year then we're going to go to 2?
That's what I thought, but I may be mistaken. I have to look back and check on that. Do you want me to take a peek? No,
Yeah,
we can do it afterwards.
Yeah, as far as I know, this is only a 1 year.
Year to year. I do know that Ryan is still interested in pursuing it for next year. I think he's been doing a great job. I've been looking at the fields. Of course, the rain has helped. The fields have looked very healthy and very green compared to last year. But yeah, no, we're going to look into the fields. That is a large percentage of the budget. I created a calendar. I know we've been talking about this a lot. I don't know if I can wake this thing up. So what I did is, I know we toss this around a lot. The one thing that we face is it's hard to know who's on the field at what time, and just scheduling the fields is almost impossible. So it's a little tough to see. All this is a Google Calendar embedded. I took some of the events that we already had in place.
Is it easier to look at on a week? If you tab to the week on the right, yeah, that might be a little easier to see, like time slots.
Yeah, I gotta just find a week that has something. Well, let's go back to the month and I'll click on one. So a couple things. One thing I want to do is, so say we look at this one. Well, Scouts Pinewood Derby. It will, if you highlight, you could click on it, it'll give you more information. What I want to do is speak with John Brunel and have him add. So right now you could have locations. So we have Talent Hall, we have Sawmill, Brook Park, etc. But it doesn't have what field is being used. So we could put that down as basically like conference rooms. So we could say Sawmill, Brook Park, Field 1 or Field 2, Talent, or the basketball courts, Court 1, Court 2, et cetera, et cetera. So we could get a little bit more granular on what is actually being used.
I remember when we first did talent, we were trying to do one for Roy Memorial Park. The one hurdle, and I don't know how you want to handle it, is if we have 3 softball fields,
Mhm.
but also you have like the soccer field. So if you're using the soccer field, it basically trumps
Right.
all 3 softball fields. Or if one softball field is in use, you can't then reserve the open area for the soccer, because it's kind of like one of those, it's either exclusively softball or exclusively soccer, lacrosse, or whoever wants to use the field. You can't really have them both at the same time.
So we'll have to do something where if they select soccer, it blocks out softball.
This calendar would be publicly visible, but managed by,
Just us.
Yeah.
by just us. Okay, so we could manage that. If somebody reserves
Right.
the soccer field, just block out the ball fields.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably the easiest thing to do is if we have an event that's using the soccer field, I would just say, make it all 3 softball fields. Don't put it as a soccer field. Just say they
Right.
need all 3 softball fields.
Yeah.
And then that would probably take care of that.
And if one softball field is gone, you just can't book soccer event.
Right.
Obviously, we've been struggling with this for a while. We've all, there's a lot going on. And when the sports we really noticed it last year because there wasn't a lot going on because they couldn't. But when the sports get going, it's pretty easy to understand, who's where and what's what. I think going forward, this should be able to help. And because it's a Google Calendar, it's easy to embed, and we can give permission to just the Recreation Commission to modify and update it as needed. And then also, the nice thing about this is now Ryan will be able to look at it to figure out who's on the field or who's not on the field. So when he wants to schedule, or if he wants maintenance, we could add him in
Right.
as well.
Especially if there's going to be any type of treatment or just make people aware.
Yeah, we ran into that last week, and I take that on me. When we had a senior project going on at Sawmill, and he was out there trying to treat, and we neglected to tell him that they were going to be out there during the mornings. So he worked with them, but it was still one of those things that if we had a calendar, it would be so much easier. Along that lines, I also want all of our sports leagues to come before the board every year like they should be. We need updated security information, updated insurance information. We need annually, they need to do a background check and fill out the facilities and field requests so that we can get them on the calendar, so we could make sure that they have space. If they don't come before us, there's a chance that field may be allocated to somebody else. We just simply cannot assume they're going to be using it because I do not know.
Yeah.
Yes, we have new members coming on the board. It's great to, I know Andy's been around for a while, so he knows the flow. But it'll be great for the rest of us to be able to get an idea of what's going on.
And the fields aren't usually the bigger issue. It's, now once we start being able to use Town Hall again, especially in the wintertime, that's when it's really, every minute of every hour is
Yeah,
critical
last
in
year
that.
was pickleball in the morning and basketball in the afternoon, and then I think pickleball would go back in at night, or it was Town
Right.
Hall was definitely.
But I mean, in a normal year too, we have softball that wants to use it for training. Soccer wants to do, they have the indoor soccer that they do. Baseball wants to do their trainings on Sunday mornings. So it's
Town
it's a
Hall
heavy
is.
use once the weather starts turning.
I think this would also allow us to open up the fields to external uses. I know we've talked about that too. Charge a fee so other teams or the facilities, towns, sports leagues could come in and use the fields. But if they'll have to pay a fee. Right now we can't schedule that because we just don't know.
This was great, Steve. Good
Yeah.
work.
Like it?
Yeah.
So can I ask a question? Right now, all usage is free regardless of if it's Litchfield residents or not
They contribute, right? Like,
for facility
Well,
use?
we haven't let any outside
Okay,
people use it really. I mean, it's especially in the last 2 years, but
but we don't charge baseball. We don't charge softball for fees.
no.
But they typically.
I'm
take
talking,
that.
well, in the past, there were maybe 5 or 6 years back, there were other outside groups asking to use our fields. So I didn't know if something was still in place or already in place where I believe there was a fee or something if it wasn't like an all Litchfield group or the majority wasn't Litchfield.
The schools were
But we
charging
didn't-
fees. We
But
weren't.
not for the fields?
No.
Okay.
But we are a nonprofit, so a lot of the times, if they are nonprofit, we will work with them.
Yeah.
But for profit, obviously, we can't have a for profit using town provided fields and then them putting money in their pockets. So if we come up with a fee schedule, it might be able to help us out. We could put more money into the fields or what have you. But I think a calendar will help move us in that direction.
Does it make sense to come up with a fee schedule proactively?
Yeah, that is something we have discussed, but we get hung up on the calendar and the scheduling part. But yeah, we do have to come up with something like that. Get an idea of what it will cost. We also do not want to open up the fields to the point where they get abused. That's the tough one.
I would look, I know the school has their fee schedule somewhere on their site. And, you know, it would make sense to sort of, to mirror what they have and have a similar policy.
Good to know.
There used to be something on the application form that asked percentage of.
Yeah, it still does,
Or, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
but it,
That was more for like a pecking order. So if there was an organization that was 100%
okay. Mhm.
residents wanting to use it on Sunday afternoons, and there was another group that had 50% residents and 50, you know, it would go to the in-town.
All right, that makes sense.
yeah, we always lean towards our local leagues over everybody else.
Looking at the calendar, is there a way to know you can tell what's booked? Is there a way to tell what's available, or do you just have to know what's in town and subtract it in your head?
Yeah, so that I haven't figured that one out yet. If you looked at like softball or baseball, their calendar was really nice, and it would show dots, so you knew what was going on. But I don't think it showed what was free, but it would show who was practicing on what field and what time.
Steve,
But
if you
yeah,
go, I'll try and find it. I had shared I had created a calendar on sheets.
I saw that. Yep.
And I tried to get it so it linked so that if you booked one, it sort of blocked off other things, and that way you can see open spots, because that's what we used for when we were always scheduling talent. It just made it so much easier to see, you know, start times, end times for for that hall. That might be something that we could look
I wonder
into.
if we could import sheets into a Google Calendar.
I know there's a way to export it. There's you know, a couple add-ons that you can do, but it's not something that would be you'd have to generate, like,
Might have to write a little piece of code or something to do it.
yeah.
Because I was looking at that one recently, and it's busy. There's a lot going on, and to put it on a calendar, I think it would be overwhelming. But if there was,
But I mean,
a way about
if we were able to put the individual sheets,
Mhm.
like a Royal Memorial Park sheet, on, so people could actually look and see what's open for requests, and then the
Then-
calendar would be what they would look at to see what's scheduled. But sort of, I mean, I know it's going to be double work whenever we
Right.
book something. It's going to have to go on both spots, but
Unless there's a way to have it automatically update or something.
right. And that would be good, because if you change something, you don't want to, you know.
Yeah.
And that was what we were dealing with before, is you'd change something, you'd forget to change in one spot, and all of a sudden you have two different calendars,
Yeah,
and it
now you
got
have-
confusing, and it was.
You have a conflict.
Yeah.
Dara Playground Slide. It's another thing we've been battling for a while. Today, the highway department went down and placed a large piece of plywood blocking access to the slide, along with a sign. And they also put a smaller piece at the exit of the slide, stating, you know, please do not use or do not access, or I don't remember what they said, we're closed. I did some research, and I did find the vendor, and they have I guess you could call them we might even know where we bought it from, a company out in Vermont that does playgrounds. And I reached out to them, told them what we had, and I'm going to take measurements and send her pictures of what we're looking for. And she'll send me back a quote, but it looks like we could still get parts. The things that I think we need is, if you look at the slide, there are two small railings on either side of the steps going up to the slide. And those are the ones where the bolts broke inside. So I think we definitely need to replace those. And then I'm going to ask about some method of strengthening the slide. I know we talked about digging the base, pushing it back into place, and adding more cement. I know somebody mentioned something about a mysterious pole that's missing. I don't know where it goes, but I'm going to also ask them if this is something, you know, what do we have to do to fortify this?
So just to give you a background on that slide, so that slide, the slide itself was purchased, I don't know when it was, right before I came on the board, so it was a while ago, but it was used
Okay.
because the prior slide was torched.
Yes, I do remember that.
So Horace Seymour at the time had found a playground that was being disassembled that happened to have a slide that was compatible, and he had purchased that, and then it was installed. I'm not sure exactly who installed it, but that could be part of our problems too. Is it's not all original. I mean, it might be. I don't know how many times we can fix it, but that might even be something that, since we're talking about budget, maybe that's a warrant article. Because that's a big ticket item, but
It's just the top of the slide is loose from
the slide itself is loose from the structure. So this, yeah.
So you've seen it before, right?
not recently. I haven't walked over there.
So it's the big
Long time
spiral
ago,
slide.
yeah.
And there's a set of stairs, I'm going to guess they're 8 feet long, that go from the playground structure up to the slide.
Yeah.
But what holds the slide in place is one single pole. And I believe what's happening is the bigger kids getting up there and shaking it to the point where it broke free. Over the years, new bolts have been put on, but the missing collars that basically grab the round rail, and those have been broken free. We've done some fixes. It just keeps coming back. So I'll reach out to these people to see even if we can get parts for it, because like we said, the slide's really old. The playground equipment is, I don't know how old. And we'll see what we can do about getting parts to replace it and fix it. If not, we may have to just consider replacing it in a warrant article. It's too bad we can't use impact fees, because we could build a new one.
What's the schedule for warrant articles if we wanted to get one in?
It would be for the budget cycle. It would have to be in probably by, I would say, we'd have to check with Troy, but usually by the end of October, we want to get something in so that it can get reviewed by the budget committee and the board of selectmen.
Yeah. But we do have impact fees for recreation, but there's strict guidelines on what you can use it for.
Has to be new additions.
Yeah, that's the tough part. We have a lot of. It's hard to you can't keep putting new things out there if you don't have the budget to maintain them afterwards. And do we need another field?
Rip the old one out instead of repair.
Yeah,
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
and I don't think we need another field in town. So I'll work with this company. I spoke with them today. I'll get them some pictures and some measurements and see what they come back with. And I'll also ask them, what would it cost to replace that particular part. So that's all I had on Dara. Any other discussions on that? All right. Old business, trash and dumpsters. So most of us have heard that Dave Mellon negotiated with our current waste management, I think it is, provider, and they are going to drop off 3 4-yard dumpsters at Justin Bissett Field, Sawmill, and there's already one at Corning.
Corner, yeah.
So that'll stay there. Those are much cheaper. Andy, we needed to go out and mark him. So Andy Ruggles and myself went down and we placed the cones where they should go. Justin Bissett Field will be in the parking lot, far right-hand corner. It'll be a good distance to carry the trash, but there's no place to put it on the field side because it'll need a large trash truck and you just can't, there's no place to get across that.
Is it, how close to the neighbor is it?
It's on the other side. So
It's across the street, right?
it's across the street.
But I mean, there are neighbors on both sides and a neighbor behind.
I did. Yeah, it'll be. Have you been out there since they put in the new parking lot?
No.
Oh, okay. So where the old playground was, the
Yeah.
sand structure is now a gravel parking lot, pretty large, and it'll be if you're standing at the baseball field looking across the road, it is in the top right-hand corner. There's woods behind it, and there's woods to the right. The closest neighbor to the left, he's on the other side of the parking lot.
Okay.
I don't know what's on the other side of the woods. I assume there's another house, but this is a good location. We marked it out. We both had our trucks there, so we marked it out to make sure that this would be a good location where the trash truck can come in, pick up, dump, and back out, or turn around if need be, even if there's something going on. The parking lot is occupied. At Sawmill, we're going to have them put it right to the right of the porta potty near the wood fence, which would be another easy in, easy out. And then at Corning, it'll probably stay where it is. What I'd like to discuss is those are 4 yards. We have a 6 yard or an 8 yard at Dara.
6 yard.
A 6 yard. Should we consider getting rid of that and going with a 4? The cost difference is substantial. So basically, if we replace that one with a 4, so we have 4 yards, it's equal to the cost of that one 6 yard. So it's roughly 280.
Wait, I mean, is that something that we'd have to renegotiate, or is that part of?
I don't know. That's something I want to reach out to Dave to find out if that was, because right now our budget is going to see 3 more dumpsters or an additional $210.
Yeah.
What you think of? I think unless talent gets real busy, then we may have to go back to a 4, but I still think it'll even be cheaper if we dump it multiple times. If it gets,
Well, I mean, if we can go to a 4 yard there, and then if there's an event, we just need to make sure that they pay for an additional pickup. It just makes it that much easier. It's not a ton of money. And if they know going into it, you know, if it's a comedy night, hey, and you're going to have to pay an extra $120 to get the trash picked up.
Or take your own trash with you.
Yeah. Or yeah, they can just take it to the dump themselves, or, you know, if there's a softball tournament, baseball tournament, you know, the same thing at the other fields too. If, you know,
Yep.
if baseball has a big tournament and they need additional trash pickups, then that should be something that they would take care of.
we may want to consider locking it too. The other day when I was down there, somebody dumped an air conditioning unit in it. I was going to climb in and pull it out, but all right, I'll speak with Dave to find out if we can get the 4th, if it's negotiated into the contract. He also did negotiate that it's about $1,400 set aside for barrels and covers. So we're going to speak with him to see what we can do about obtaining some of those to replace the ones that
He's already ordered them.
you already ordered them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you spoke to him recently. Yeah.
He ordered, I've forgotten the exact number, but he got 2 more covers than barrels,
Okay.
simply because they'll eventually get damaged or disappear or whatever. And he said those are the more expensive and harder to find. So he said that way we'll have them on hand if something gets damaged. He said, and he believes that they'll actually work with the barrels that we currently have. So if we wanted to, we could put them on those barrels.
Okay. Perfect.
And I think it's going to be 2 for every facility.
Yeah. No.
I think it was a total of 10, if I'm correct.
10, but like Justin Bissett Field already has the barrels. They already have new barrels, and I think Coning may too. But that would be nice to get some new barrels, because right now they get full of water, overflow, or you know, it's difficult. All right. So we're all on board with going with smaller dumpsters if possible at Dara, if it's part of the contract.
Yep. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Air National Guard has reached out to us to replace the down tall stairs. Now that they wrapped up their COVID support, they're starting to schedule their time. I believe we are sometime in September. We still have about $8,000 in encumbered funds from last year. Mr. Jim Spots was going to obtain a new material list and forward it to Karen White. I responded to an email, or sent an email before this meeting to find out where it stands, if she was able to get the material list. Obviously, the concern is when we quoted this, cost of materials has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
So we'll have to.
You know, I think there was in one email we said, you know, we'd have to take care of creepage. This is not, the prices do not creep. They oh my goodness.
It's yeah. If it went up as much as, you know, if it cost us as much, we just simply couldn't afford to do it this year. Right?
Well, I mean, we could. I mean, in all honesty, if we don't do it, the encumbered funds disappear. So we've basically budgeted. We've spent that $8,800 on this. So if we have to come up with another $4,000 in materials, we either come up with $4,000 and get all new steps and a new deck, or we don't spend the $4,000 and we get nothing.
Together.
So, and it's not something that is a want, it's
It's a need. Yeah.
it has to be done.
Safety issue at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Well, it definitely is. All right. So I'll know more hopefully by tomorrow. They were looking to do something in September, so it's coming fast. Moving the gate at Dara. We still have that in our budget. This is still an issue, if not worse. The other day I was down there cleaning up around the propane tank, cutting some grass. Somebody came flying down. Luckily, nobody was in the playground, but he was probably traveling at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Sat down there for a while. I was talking with some people. And then as he started leaving, instead of going through the ruts in the dirt, he was driving up along the grass. So I yelled to him, asked him what he was doing, and he said, I'm avoiding the potholes. And then he exited. He wasn't happy, but we definitely need to do something. While I was there, the Litchfield Police patrolled through. It was actually Officer Scotty and Chief Sergeant came driving down through, and I talked to them a little bit about it, and they mentioned that if we put a security camera on the building, because at the same time, that's when I noticed the air conditioner in the dumpster. He said if we put a security camera on the building that they could monitor from here, they'll be able to take action if need be. We also have been getting some minor vandalism, and what have you. So I still think it's a good idea to move the gate. Where I think it would be a great place is where the propane tank is here. It's fenced in 6x6 area. It'd be 28 feet from the propane tank to the dirt road. The dirt road is about 21 feet wide, and then the grass area is about 20 feet to the baseball field fence. What I would recommend is let's mount it behind the propane tank fence, put a fence from the propane to the road, which is 28 feet. And then we could open the gate. And then on the other side in the grass, just put 6x6 or 4x4 wooden poles every 48 inches apart. So you could still get through with bicycles, carriages, wheelchairs, etc. But it'll prevent cars going through. And then we'll be able to close the gate altogether.
You're thinking about a swing gate or a
We already
sliding
have the gate. The gate is
Oh,
actually,
it's already there.
yeah, and just
move that.
relocate it. So to relocate it would be a couple, right now it's bolted to probably 4-inch round poles. So we need a couple of round poles, 28 feet of fencing, and we still have the 6x6, 4x4, 6x6 poles.
But we still have the issue of if somebody needs to get down there with a boat, because the gate, the location of the gate is not an issue if we were to keep it locked and we don't let people drive down there, then it's fine. If we put the gate back by where the porta potty is or the propane tank, we're still going to have to allow people to open that, if we're not going to allow them to bring a boat down past that point, we're still dealing with the same gate issue.
Yeah, I understand that because of the boats. I don't know how much traffic we see with that.
So I recall last time we talked about this, that kind of landed where I think Andy's saying is that the issue isn't where the gate is, it's that it's open all the time. And that if we moved it back, then you just invite traffic in front of Talent, which would then be another issue potentially. And that it's more an issue of getting a gate that is locked, or I think we talked about last time, maybe having one's automatic and we could have some kind of passage that way. So explain to me why the moving of the gate.
What it allow is trash to be picked up, propane to be filled,
Okay.
and Talent Hall to be patrolled
Gotcha.
Without opening the gate.
without opening the gate.
So
Yeah.
what about instead of investing that money and moving that gate, if we took those 4x4 posts that you're talking about, 48 inches apart, put them in front of Talent, like that little loop in front of Talent, so the grass area.
Yep.
And then we also do it from the playground down to the water, from where the fence ends and the softball field all the way down to the water. So basically, we're keeping cars from going on the grass.
Yep.
Actually, on both sides of that road, would probably put a rail. Keep cars off the grass, keep cars from the playground, maybe put chains or whatever so kids won't run, just make it a clear area, post, 5-mile-an-hour speed limits or whatever, and just not have the gate.
and just make more of a parking area down by the playground.
Yeah.
So one concern I have is, luckily this day, nobody was there, but this gentleman was going way too fast in that area. And if there were kids playing, if a little kid runs across to go to the basketball court, I just don't, the philosophy of having cars and kids mixed together in the playground just doesn't sit well with me.
Right, but I mean, if we have those rails there, and basically this is your playground area, and then
So the rails and the chains would prevent the children from just running.
and maybe not rails, maybe for the playground, maybe we put a 4-foot chain link fence so the kids can't get by it.
Contain the kids instead of containing the cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that might make things a lot simpler, a lot safer. Because I mean, all it takes is to leave the gate open once, and then we're dealing with the same issue.
Right.
We put that wooden rail along to keep the cars from driving onto the basketball courts. Maybe a chain link fence is the way to go on the left-hand side, and just extend that chain link fence down. And then I think we should put some type of rail on to protect the grass from the people just driving, and also parking there. Just
Right.
because then they'll want to park on the grass and.
So how much parking could you have down there without taking away too much wooded space?
You
Or
could
is it
probably
better
fit
to
six
drop
or
your
eight-
boat off and
you-
drive back to the parking lot?
But I mean, you could probably park 6 cars in front of the
Okay.
playground and 6 cars in front of the basketball court. And I think it should be limited to people who need access. It's not,
So is that for boat or water access only?
or it could be for moms with little kids. You don't want to, you got to, it's like with the stroller and a kid in
Yeah.
tow, and you don't want to be
Or handicap accessible. They need to be able to get down there.
right.
The other day, like it's a common occurrence, I went by, there was more cars down there than they were in the parking lot.
Yeah.
But you're down there to exercise or play basketball, but you can't walk.
Well, just like you go to a golf course, you're gonna, I don't know, a lot of people ride now, but you're walking 18 holes, but you have to find the parking spot closest to the clubhouse and go walk 5.5 miles.
I'm just thinking if it's open for anybody to park and there's, I know it doesn't get too busy, but if you end up with all people at the playground parked down there and someone comes up with their boat, or maybe you have to reserve a couple spots for boat, so that if you're doing that, so they can get a boat down there, but they can't because everybody at the playground and hoop
There's no
court is
place to
filling those
park
up.
for down by the water, but
Yeah.
usually what people would do is they would drive down with their trailers,
Right.
drop the boat off, then park back up. Because with a
Yeah,
vehicle
that's what
with
I
a
was
trailer-
saying before, when you could drop your boat off and
Yeah,
go back. to the
generally they
parking
come back up and park in the parking lot because a vehicle with a trailer, there's not a lot of room there to
No.
park.
How much boat traffic do we have on Dara Pond? I don't think I've ever seen a boat there.
You get enough that, and it's usually kids
Yeah, small John
with
boat.
rowboats, and they'll
Canoes.
want to, go fishing, and, it's part of the recreation. We don't want to stop them because it's kind of the thing we want to
Yeah.
encourage. I know there was one boy in particular that, that was his, he looked forward to that. And it was just, he couldn't carry the boat all the way from the parking lot down there by himself. And so.
All right, so we'll rethink this. I like the idea of putting, I don't want to damage the grass. The only problem with poles on the grass is then cutting around them. And then, do we expect our landscaper to weed whack all around the poles?
Well, it's better than trying to replant grass because people are digging it up with
Driving
their
up it.
vehicles. So, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
And even some boulders, who knows? Might look nicer.
Maybe we can get some boulders. All right.
Maybe a nice granite bench.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Last meeting, I believe we voted to purchase 2 industrial fans for Town Hall.
Yep.
All right. I still have not done that, but I will definitely.
Do you know where you're going to get them from?
I was just thinking Harbor Freight or something like that.
I was going to say, I bought one. It's amazing thing. It's like, it sounds like an airplane taking off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I bought it for I'm using it in my garage right now, but I'm bringing it to my classroom because I'm teaching on the 4th floor, and it's just it moves the air moves it seriously. It was like $130.
Yeah, the ones I was looking at online were, huge, 36-inch on wheels. Yeah.
Yeah.
That could, if we get 2, it'll be enough to at least circulate the air in Talent, and that'll be helpful because of COVID, because it's also very warm in there at all times. I just think it's something, those little ones that are there help, but I don't think they do enough.
No.
Scouts BSA, you guys are still on for the Pinewood Derby, Talent Hall, August 27th and 8th. Does that sound familiar?
I don't know. I know they've been talking about it, but they're actually meeting tonight.
Okay. I know they requested, I don't think they came back to say it. It was Pinewood Derby and then a stay over, I think,
Lock in
yeah, lock in kind
overnight
of thing.
for the kids.
Oh, it was on
Yeah.
it was going to be outside on the basketball courts, right?
I
Is
think
that the
it's in
one?
Talent.
No, that was
I think that was last year.
that was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe it was in the spring. Might have been in the spring. They had a rain gutter thing in the.
Okay.
It was last fall. It was last October. They
Wow.
did that.
So we,
It was.
yeah, it goes a bit crazy. Yeah. We're still, speaking of Talent Hall, we're still restricting the numbers to 50. The way things are going, I don't think we're going to be lifting that anytime soon. And if they continue the way they're going, we're probably going to go back to mandating masks. I know people aren't going to want to hear that, but you're a teacher. You understand. You see what's going on. It's heading the wrong way.
So, I mean, I guess my question is, because this stuff is going to change it has been changing pretty quickly. And I know that we have to move a little slower based on our meetings. We can't make a decision. Would it make sense to try and have a policy tied to the town? Like, I don't know if the town has a policy for inside buildings. And I think that we should sort of match. If the town says, you know what, mask required inside town hall, then we should follow suit.
Well, so when we made the change last time, the town lifted the mask mandate policy for all buildings.
Right.
But I think it's up to us. It's our discretion if we wish to follow. I don't know who has the authority. Are we more authoritative when it comes to town, or are they?
So if it's a safety concern, they can override. We have a lot of policy saying that, but if it's a safety issue, they can override anything that we decide on that. So, I mean, we could say we could put a mask policy in place and say they're not required. But then if the town says, no, they're requiring for the buildings, they could override that. They could say there's no mask required, but we could go above that to say that it is a town.
So if,
but I'm just saying it would make sense if, all of a sudden we find something out on Saturday, there's 300 cases in the town of Litchfield. We need to put this mask mandate in. Well, we don't meet again until
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the town might say, you know what, we're going to put something in place on Friday. Whatever we have would go in place with that. If that makes sense.
So if the town mandates a mask policy, it will be automatically applicable to Talent Hall.
Well, that's what I would think. I'd like to maybe make a motion, make that just, that way we sort of have a default. Will at least be as safe as every other building in the town. They don't have to add talent into that list specifically.
Do you want to second that motion?
Yes, I will second that motion.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Ames,
Aye.
Mr. Collins,
Aye.
Mrs. Brennan,
Aye.
Mr. Town.
Aye.
I'm also an aye, 500. So if the town mandates a mask policy, it would be automatically applied to Talent Hall as well. I like that idea because I also thought the same thing. If we only meet every other week, July we met once.
Yeah.
So if some, you know,
And it always
changes
seems like
quickly.
something comes up on Wednesday. It's like, you find
Let's see, other,
Just before you leave that one, I thought from the last meeting, the discussion was that we would still limit town hall to 50
50.
people. Is that right? Even though the
Yep.
fire department says it's higher than that, but we're still limited to 50.
yeah, that was something that
Based
we
on
decided to
health
limit to,
concerns.
yeah.
Okay.
just because of the lack of ventilation and
I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
Other than like a comedy night or something, 50 people in that building is an awful lot.
Yeah.
Cozy.
Yeah.
And I just checked with the Cub Scouts and they are planning the 27th, 28th with an overnight thing
okay,
on Saturday to Sunday.
less than 50 people, right?
Apparently so.
All right, perfect.
And that's just at one time. And they could, if there are people participating, they can just go, you know, they can have groups waiting outside and just rotate through.
Yeah,
Good,
so
so.
well, being overnight, so that I think that'll be less than 50.
So they're
people.
going to be overnight inside?
It's going to
the
be
hall?
overnight. Yeah,
So yeah,
Oh, okay. I figured they'd be on tents and stuff outside.
the Boy Scouts would be. Cub Scouts, some of them might.
Yeah.
but
RVs, they'll pull up those $110,000 RVs.
They can
I
park
think,
them in the driveways.
didn't we make a motion to accept that last time? Do you remember, is that sound right?
The Boy Scouts one?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have.
Actually, you know what? I don't think they submitted. Have them submit the facility
Did.
request. Did they?
It was on the calendar that we were. Just
Yeah. What I was doing is going through, and I don't remember if they all the paperwork. All right, I'll double check that. But
I can. Yeah.
did we? I'm trying to think if we made a motion.
I'm looking.
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
calendar,
yeah.
I was looking for as much filler as I can so I could get a feel for it.
Yes, we did.
We did. Okay. Perfect. All right. As I mentioned earlier, the fields are looking great. The rain has certainly helped. I spoke with Ryan one day when he was out at Sawmill. He's been working hard at it, definitely. Some people know this, some people don't, but he actually was down one of his lawnmowers. He got somebody rear-ended his lawnmower when he was on it. He's fine, but it's possible it might be totaled. So he's,
What? Huh? What?
yeah.
Where was that?
He's in a residential area, and some lady he thinks was looking at her phone or something. He doesn't
Oh,
know.
when it was on his trailer.
No, he was on the machine.
And he got hit
What
by
do
a
you-
car?
Yeah, and somebody. He was luckily enough. He was fine. He wasn't hurt, but it bent the frame. So he's been kind of working double time, try to keep up with things.
Now, what was the? I know Mike had sent the email about the grass outside the fence area of Sawmill, because that was something that was always taken care of by in that contract. I don't know if that was not written in the contract this time, but
Yeah,
I know that the area up by the tennis courts is not. But I always
don't think that was included in it though.
it's always been.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't had anybody else ever cut it, and it's been cut. But and
But the town did it a couple times. No.
the town did outside, like that big brush area by the tennis courts.
Yeah, out front.
That's really the only thing the town has ever done for us. They did they cut down brush around Brickyard once, or the Innisfield.
That's actually needs to be done again. The perimeter with the brush hog. Yeah, I'll review the contract again to see, but I believe, yeah, that should definitely, the perimeter of the fence should be included. I know at the baseball fields, I think he's been doing like roundup 6-8 inches on either side of the fence or underneath the fence to prevent having to weed whack and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I did notice at Sawmill when I was there last week that it didn't look like it was weed whacked. They also discussed and agreed that Mike, Andy Collins, and Ryan, they're going to relocate the soccer fields at Sawmill and rotate them, I guess you could say. And then Ryan's gonna mark off the area that's the weir area, and he's gonna slice seed it again.
Yeah.
So that, we can rotate the fields and try to prevent as much damage. So we ask everybody to please respect the signs, do not tear them down, stay off that area so that the grass can grow.
The other thing too is I know with the middle school, they had requested, there was something from the middle schools, right? And the new AD.
Yeah, I don't think I responded, but he didn't get back to me.
Yeah. But one thing we've always tried to make sure that they understood is, especially at Dara, when they're done with the goals, to move them to the fence, because that's what happens that's why those areas get worn. It's not actually from games and practice. It's because the nets are there, and if you go by there, the kids are always running, there's always somebody standing in the goal, and 2 or 3 kids just down there playing constantly. If those nets stay where they are, it'll just wear that spot out. If you move it over to the fence, kids will play over there, but it's not really, now we're spreading out the wear and tear.
Right, so we'll have to mention that to the leagues. The other thing I want them to start doing is picking up the trash barrels when they're done. I noticed like the one at the basketball court is always full. And if they're out there using the courts, they should at least take the time to dump the barrels. And I believe baseball does the same thing. They dump the barrels when they're done. But I think it's all the leagues should take care, move the nets, dump the trash, pick up any trash, and help keep the fields looking good.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a lot easier with baseball because they're really the only ones using the field. I know that we always sort of had an issue with the basketball courts or Dara simply because it's like the basketball courts. Well, I know Jason has his league there, but there's also, I mean,
1 million people using it.
Yeah.
Pickup games.
So
Yeah, I think I know Jason, if you talk to Jason, he'll say, yeah, well, the kids dump the barrels.
yeah, and he's usually really good about that.
He's very cooperative. But that'll definitely help. I went down and dumped the barrel the other day, and it was, bottles were flowing across the land because of the wind, and it's.
Well, that's the other thing I know we had talked about years ago, and maybe it's something that we should revisit too with this new contract. The amount of plastic that's going into those dumpsters is probably, I would guess, half of what's going into the dumpsters.
Mhm.
And it's really, I mean, it's a shame that it's,
Probably more than that.
yeah. I mean, we're paying, it should be,
Recycled.
yeah.
I did talk to Dave one day before we started talking about the trash and trying to figure our trash situation out and how to improve it. And I asked about that, should we replace some of the barrels with recyclable barrels for the bottles? And he said, due to, things would probably change by now, but just due to the nature that there's just no money in it for people. And they, I guess at one point, China was buying our trash. So he said that at this point, there's just no money in recycling, and it almost costs more to recycle than it does to dispose of them,
Even for the plastics.
even for the plastic.
Well, I mean, I'm not worried as much about money, but,
Yeah.
kind of want to live on this planet a little longer.
I agree. But if,
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
it depends on where it goes, right? If the trash company picks it up and they're not making any money, it's all going to go into the same bin in their eyes.
But I mean, that's something that if we could put some recycling bags out there and then have have something that we can bring down to, our own recycling facility,
Does the high school still have a recycling club?
maybe.
I think they do.
I know they used to. I don't know. And they used to
Plastic.
use the money for scholarships, I believe, that they raised from it. But I don't know if it was just cans.
Yeah.
It was bottles too. I don't remember. But they did have a recycling club, I
I think
think.
it's just cans. I think they have a trailer out. behind
Okay.
the school.
And it's just cans,
Still there.
aluminum.
I still like the idea of having a plastic, a barrel just for plastic recyclables. Maybe we can get a lid that is just for that purpose on the basketball courts. Because that's 99
I think we definitely need 1 or 2 in town hall as well, because once
Yep.
basketball gets in there, it's just, the
Yeah.
plastic bottles. Although now it's cut down with that water bubbler in there, which is nice. 'Cause it's got the fill station.
Yep. And that is all I have. Non-public, we don't have anything for non-public. Our next meeting will be August 24th at 7:30 p.m. here at Town Hall. So anything else anybody would like to discuss?
Is there a question, is there a date for the Tristan Bissett Memorial designation? I saw something come across the wire, but I didn't see a date.
Yes, I was hoping Steve and Andy were here tonight. There is, I don't remember what he told me the date was.
Right.
Yeah, I was looking for that through my emails as to, I think it was just a conversation
Okay.
the two of
Yeah.
us had.
Well, it's not, and that's something that, I mean, kind of embarrassing. If we don't know what the date is, how is everybody else in the town? I know it's a baseball event, but it would be nice to have
Yep.
a lot of people that know the Bissett family be able to
I
attend.
don't think it was at the end of August, was it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost at the end of it.
I know.
Halfway through August.
Next meeting. It is something that I was hoping that one of the two of them would be here today to tell me the actual date. I don't, for the life of me, I do not remember the time, the date, but it is coming up. It's either August or September, the end of August or the end of September. I want to say August,
My guess is September.
September.
I mean, you usually don't plan a lot of stuff in August just because it's tough finding, people aren't around.
That's true.
So let's go with September, hopefully. I know they still had some things they wanted to do down there. They were getting close. I know they were purchasing the lumber for the sign, and I think they still have the sign in the shed.
I better not have damaged my sign.
I also told them that at one point you wanted to put something on the back, right?
Yes.
A memorial. So I told them when they make it, because they were just going to build a wooden sign and stick it to it. And I told them you need to leave the back open, like, the John Bryant River access, so you can have both sides.
Right. Yeah, because it was designed to go parallel to the street.
Yep.
So that, and the idea was to try and I know there's a place in Nashua that we could go through for big graphics, and they'll do a nice thing that we can put on there with the picture adjusted and a little bit of a story. So I think that's the one thing that we need to do a better job of, Innis Memorial Field.
Yep.
There's a little thing there for them, but I think, people need to know why these are named after certain people. And, the John Bryant River access, we've got the stone there. It's just, it's important not just to name it after, but let people know why it's named after
Right.
those people.
Give the story behind it.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Andy and Steve to get the firm dates. And it is something that we'll try to put on the webpage or get some information out there.
I don't know if you guys looked at the wall in Talent Hall above the door by the kitchen. It's all
Yeah,
about Harvey
Talent
Talent
Hall. Yeah.
No.
and his Purple Heart and everything's up there. It's just, it's kind of neat that you don't realize.
Yeah, some of that stuff needs to be put back up. I think they pulled it down when they painted, but it was never rehung. And there's also need to speak to somebody about the flashing on the top of Talent Hall. Looks like it pulled off during the windstorm or something.
Oh,
so
really?
might need to get somebody up there to fix that. Do we have somebody who typically go through, or somebody with a bucket truck?
The stairway work they're going to do in the back, would that include some of the woodwork, not the flashing, the fascia, the trim along the roof line
No.
on the back?
No.
But we might want to do that at the same time. It's both high up there, but I walked around the back of Talent Hall, and that wood there's a lot of woodwork that's rotted out. It's going to be a leaking problem before too long.
Along the roof line?
And maybe some of the windows got trim up there, but
There's no windows.
I'm not
So
sure.
there's no trim.
there's some windows back there.
Oh, there's
The back
yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Back end.
Yeah, you probably saw the same thing too. Than the aluminum flashing on the very top. Well, I guess it's not flashing.
That's
Yeah,
a-
fascia. is
Yeah.
pulled off. All right.
Yeah, we can have another painting party down there. Remember that?
Yeah.
That-
Yeah.
that is a.
We
don't
got
ask,
done
don't
in a
tell.
weekend, right?
Yeah.
We did it all in a weekend. Yeah.
But that one spot by the power lines was never painted. We
Oh,
could
yeah.
never find anybody brave enough to go up by the
To
power
go,
lines
yeah.
and paint. We're like, that's it. We'll just leave it.
I don't like ladders, so I'll paint up the side. I don't do ladders. All right,
I have one question.
certainly.
What's being built at Roy Memorial Park on the side of the basketball courts? I guess between the courts and the lake, there's a wooded area, and it looks like a low to the ground wooden balance type of bridge. And then there's two logs kind of angled up, and they look like they're chained
Ropes course.
or locked. And it says, so, okay, I didn't know if it was a rec thing or
Well, it's
ropes course, but
Yeah,
it
it's
says
the ropes
no
course.
trespassing, but it looks like it's kind of in progress being built in that area.
Is it new or is it?
It's fairly new.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the rope. Remember the ropes course? that
Yeah,
used
it's,
to-
the ropes course is like on the other side behind the
That's the
softball
lower,
fields.
that's the lower ropes course. So that's the higher ropes course. This is the lower
Okay.
ropes course where they do more of their training. So that's done through Coach K and the high school. And that, it's sort of been in partnership with us. We basically have helped maintain it. But
So is there any public use of it for people in town, or is it just affiliated with the high school?
it's just affiliate. You have to have, for most of the use of it, you need to have a licensed instructor to use
Okay.
it. So it's not just for the high school, but you have to have somebody that's licensed to supervise the ropes course in order for the ropes course to be used.
So someone at the high school does it for the high school students.
Coach K's been gone for a while. I don't know if anybody else at the high school is.
Oh, no, he still does it.
I was
He
gonna
still
say
does.
somebody has to
Oh, yeah.
because there's
Certainly
new
does.
stuff
Yeah.
being built.
He's probably the one out there doing the work on it right now too.
Okay, I know he's retired.
yeah.
He's still,
Oh, yeah.
still doing that.
So even though it's like low to the ground stuff that you can just step on and go
Well,
across the bridge, you can't, it's not for
Generally,
public use.
that's not. Usually, we've had access to that. It's the upper ropes course that has
Mhm.
a lot of the signage on it. I'm assuming that right now it's just saying no trespassing. If it's under construction, you just don't want anybody using it until it's completed.
Right.
But if it's not truly a hazard, like the upper ropes course, and then it's not totally off limits.
Yeah, I mean, it might be worthwhile. Maybe if we can reach out to Coach K, maybe you can come to a meeting and sort of give us an update on. That would be something that would be good.
Or even find out if he's willing to teach groups from the community.
Yep.
Every time I'm over there and I look up there, I'm like, I want to do that. How do I go about doing that? Who do I contact? Who can teach it?
Welcome to the board.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that would be awesome. I went down there one day and there was a group down there doing it, and there was just a bunch of kids watching them
Yeah.
in awe, wondering how they could do it too. And if it's on our facilities, it'd be great if we're able to access it. And
I think the more outdoor activity based stuff you can do, and some kids are not into team sports, and you'd have a group doing it, but it's still pretty much you doing what you can do. More
So
of an
how would
individual
we
thing, but it would be kind of cool
pursue
to have
this?
some of that kind of
do we
stuff.
have Coach
especially
K's
kids.
email or something? Judy's obviously quite passionate about it, and I think
I can see if I have it. I'm sure I do somewhere. And if you want, I can get you in contact with Coach K. I mean, it would be
Yeah, I can do
it would be
that.
nice. I mean, again, it would have to be a supervised group, but
Right, something you sign up for, whoever, if he's teaching it and he says, I can do 5 people, 5 beginners or whatever. And I can't be the only one who looks at that and thinks, I want to go out there and try that. I don't know.
I know a lot of there's a couple of schools that have come down. I know that have done it.
Mhm.
As part of their adventure clubs. So I'm sure I would do it for groups in town. It would be nice, even for the Boy Scouts. It would be something that would be kind of neat. I know a lot of companies do ropes courses for team building activities
Yep.
and things. So, we could even offer it up. I think it would be kind of neat to offer it up to the fire department and police department, and just sort of.
Coach K might be qualified to be an instructor
Oh, he is.
to train other instructors, so that he could teach Judy.
Right, but I think then there's a large insurance
Yeah, I think,
issue after that. So I think he carries his own insurance for it.
Okay, that'd be worth looking
So,
into.
yeah,
yeah, I agree.
'Cause,
I know you did
We
have-
might be liable right now. I don't know.
yeah.
I know we did have somebody working with him when I saw him out there last year, and I thought he was, bringing him up through the ropes, if you would. And I just assumed he was gonna.
No, he specializes in construction and maintenance of the
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he does multiple ropes courses. He works with Coach K
Okay.
on
So
here with when Coach K needs
maintenance.
assistance with it. Yeah. Yeah, I've yelled at him once or twice. What are you doing there?
yeah.
I'll say, oh, okay, I know. who you
Same
are."
thing. When I pulled up, I'm like, "Why are you down here?" And he's like, "I'm Coach K." I'm like, "Okay." All you had to say is the name, and then I saw the guy in the background. All right, great. Yeah, if you can get Judy in touch with Coach K, I think that would be something great.
Do you
to pursue.
still want to have him, invite him to a meeting? Somebody mentioned invite him to
Yeah,
a
if he can
meeting
come to a
and
meeting,
give us
that
an
would be great.
update
Or at
on
least
what's
give us
going on there.
information that we can bring to a meeting, and that would be really nice.
And it kind of goes along the same thing too. If he's going to be out there with different groups, it'd be nice if we know what's going on, so that if somebody says,
Yeah.
who's out there.
And if we ever do, and I know they talked about doing a summer event. I know the Christmas in Litchfield, and it sort of got. I mean, COVID obviously put a lot of stuff on the back burner, but that might be something that next summer, if we want to do some type of town event there, that would kind of be neat to have, access to the ropes course that day, just to sort of get people a taste of
Yeah.
it. And,
The Family Fun Day was a great event this year. I think the ropes course would add to it.
I mean, that's a huge thing, I think, to have in our little town, that ropes
yeah.
course.
Yeah. Judy's into that stuff. If you don't know that, Judy likes to swing from ropes and climb, jump on tires. All right, if that's it, let's have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second?
Second. All right, and Mr. Ames,
Aye.
Mr. Collins,
all right.
Mrs. Brennan,
Aye.
Mr. Town.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Thank you, everyone. That motion carries 500.